Day 2 of 2026. And if you're anything like millions of other Americans, you may have set some goals to accomplish this year. But as we all know, making resolutions is far easier than following through with them. So psychiatrist Dr. Brook Choulet joins us today to discuss some proven strategies that really help us work. Listen, I set some resolutions, but I thought I'll start next week. I'll start next week. How can we stick to these goals? What do we need to do? What do we need to keep in mind?
Yeah, so resolutions are good, but motivation only gets us so far, right? And so it's much better to have systems in place than motivation alone.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, think about it. Like you come to work, you have a routine, you do things in a certain order.
Right.
And so when we can start to think about goal setting in that way and really follow our values, then we're able to really follow through with our resolutions and make them long-term goals.
I love that idea. So how, if I have a goal of, I don't know, for me, it's like, it sounds silly, but it's getting more sleep or it's drinking more water. How do I break that down in a way that I can make it a habit, not a unattainable goal?
Right. So the one thing, like you said, is it has to be attainable.
Okay.
So we're setting ourselves up for failure if we're saying, okay, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in January. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Right. So habit stacking is really where we need to start, where we're attaching things we want to do to something we're already doing.
Oh, how does that work? I love that.
So the water, that's a perfect example. So
Okay.
let's talk about that. So you wake up in the morning, you might grab a cup of coffee first, and that's something you always do every day.
Yes.
So with habit stacking, we're attaching something we want to do with something we're already doing. So for your cup of water, perhaps after you have your cup of coffee, every day you're attaching it to having a cup of water too.
I love that idea. Okay, another thought here is like I want to try and walk more. That's something that I don't do already. What can I attach that to make that happen?
Well, a lot of times it feels like that will take a long time, right? Like, oh, I don't have 20 minutes to go take a walk.
Yes.
But what if you just walked outside to your mailbox and back? Okay. So we have to set ourselves up for success. So even if we can purely just get outside for 2 minutes and come back home, that's still adding your goal onto what you're doing every day in a way that is sustainable.
We have these big goals because we think it's a year. It's 365 days, so that's a lot, right? So we set this really massive goal. But you have the idea of shrinking the goal. What does that look like?
Yeah, so just like we kind of talked about, right? Instead of saying I'm going to work out for an hour 5 times a week.
Yes.
Maybe it's just I'm going to move for 10 minutes a day.
Okay.
Right? Making it sustainable, because setbacks will happen. And a lot of times people are like, oh, well, that's it. Maybe in 2027 things will get better.
Every time I feel like that way, it's like, well, I didn't do it and it's, February, so I can't do it. But we shouldn't think that way. So when it comes to the setback, how do I coach myself?
Yeah, think about really like what you value and how you identify yourself. Because motivation only goes so far, right? If we're like, oh, I'm super motivated at the beginning of the year to walk more, that's great, but what actually aligns with your own values? So if you frame it as, I just want to be healthy, then you're not having a setback every day when you maybe do 10 minutes of yoga with your kids crawling all over you rather than getting out to the gym for an hour. So being kind to yourself and expecting setbacks is key.
And let's talk about those setbacks, because typically it's like the first couple of months of the year, we're doing great in January, but then February, it tails off. March, it just kind of doesn't really work. What can I do? What can I do to get myself back into gear and to be like, you know what? The goal doesn't have to end in March.
Well, I'm laughing because months would be great, right? But a lot of times it's like week 2 and people are like, oh yeah, we'll call it quits.
Totally.
So for people, they can really just start to check in with themselves monthly. That's what I like to do is like schedule a 15-minute meeting, check in with yourself, and maybe you want to pivot your goal. Maybe it's a reminder to re-implement the habit stacking, but whatever you do, don't get down on yourself, keep going.
Dr. Choulet, thank you so much. Motivational.